Hello students, let us learn the topic probability from class 10th maths part 1. In our daily life we use this concept probability. In this topic we are going to learn how to calculate the possibility of any event mathematically. So in simple word, probability means a possibility. Suppose if we have some events in our day-to-day life and if we have to calculate the possibility of them to be happen, it can be calculated mathematically. One branch of mathematics that deals with such calculations is called as a probability. Now in this topic we are going to learn more about the probability. So let us start with the basic concepts regarding the probability. The first concept is the random experiment. Let us learn what is the concept. The experiment in which all possible results are known in advance but none of them can be predicted with certainty and there is equal possibility for each result is known as a random experiment. For example, suppose if we toss a coin, then there are only two possibilities. We can either get head or tail. In this case, we know the possibilities that we can get, that is head or tail, but we cannot predict any one possibility of getting head or tail. In the same way, throwing a die, if we throw a die on the upper face, which number we are going to get cannot be predicted with certainty. But there is possibility of getting all the surfaces, of getting all the numbers on the surface is equal. So that is also one random experiment. Next example is picking a card from a set of cards bearing numbers from 1 to 50. So suppose there are cards from 1 to 50. We have to select any one of them. Then there is equal possibility for all the cards to be selected. But we cannot predict it with certainty to have any one of that. That's why it is also a random experiment. Or there is another example, picking a card from a pack of well-shuffled playing cards. So these are all the random experiments for which we know all the possible results, but any one of them cannot be predicted with certainty. That's why these are all random experiments. So that is the basic concept for our this topic, probability. The next concept is outcome. Let's have the definition of outcome. Result of a random experiment is known as outcome. We have just studied what is a random experiment. The result that we get in such a random experiments is known as outcome. For example, suppose there is a random experiment of tossing a coin, then there are only two outcomes, either head or tail. That means for this random experiment, we can either get head or tail. So these are the two outcomes. That is the random experiment tossing a coin, we get these two results. That's why these two are called as outcomes. In a random experiment of throwing a die, there are 6 outcomes according to the number of dots on 6 faces of the die. So on each face of a die, we know that there are numbers from 1 to 6. So any one of them we can have on the upper surface. So these are all possible outcomes of the experiment. If we have another example, in a random experiment of picking a card bearing from 1 to 50. So as there are 50 cards, there are 50 outcomes. That is, in this experiment, we can get 50 results. That's why there are 50 outcomes. The next concept is the sample space. The definition is the set of all possible outcomes of a random experiment is called as sample space. Each element of a sample space is called as a sample point, and the number of elements in the set S is denoted by n of S. So sample space is always denoted by a letter S, and the number of sample points is denoted by n of S. So earlier we have studied the random experiment and the outcomes. So all the outcomes, that is the results of any certain random experiment, is called as a sample space. Let us have one table from which we can clear the concept of random experiment and sample space. Suppose there is a random experiment, that is one coin is tossed. So in that sample space, either we get S is equal to head or tail, that is number of sample points. There are two number of sample points, that is H and T. That's why N of S is equal to 2. If we have another random experiment, two coins are being tossed, then for that we get a sample space as HH. That means on the first coin we get H, and on the second also we get head. It is HH. The second possibility is HT. That is on the first coin we get head and on the second we get tail. Third possibility is TH, and the fourth possibility is TT. That means on both the coins we get a tail. So as there are four outcomes for the sample space, N of S is equal to 4. In the same way, if there are three coins which are tossed, then we get a sample space as HHH. It is on all the three coins we get head, or we have HHT, or we have HTH, THH, HTT, THT, TTH, or TTT. So in this sample space, we have got 8 sample points. That's why N of S is equal to 8. Let us have another experiment. A die is thrown. So as we know, there are 6 surfaces for a die on which numbers from 1 to 6 are written. For this one, on the upper space, either we get 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6. So there are 6 sample points for this experiment. N of S is equal to 6. In the same way, if two dice are thrown, then the sample space will be, the first sample point is 1 1. That means on the first die we get 1, and on the second die also we get 1. The second sample point is 1 2. That means for the first die, on the first die we get 1, and on the second die we get 2. In this way we can get a third sample point 1 3, fourth is 1 4, 1 5, and so on. There is another possibility that on the first die we get 2, and on the second we get 1. Then we get 2 2, 2 3, 2 4 up to 2 6. In the same way we get 3 1, 3 2 up to 3 6. In this way we get 6 6. So as there are in all 36 sample points, N of S is equal to 36. We have another random experiment. A card is drawn from a pack bearing numbers from 1 to 25. So as there are 1 to 25 numbers, there will be 25 sample points. That means there is an equal possibility for each of the card being drawn. So the sample space will be 1, 2, 3, 4 up to 25. And as there are 25 sample points, N of S is equal to 25. Another random experiment is a card is drawn from well-shuffled pack of 52 playing cards. So as we know, there are 4 types of cards. It is diamond, spade, heart, and club. And for each of its type, we have from ace to 3 to jack, queen, and king. That means for each of the card there are 13 cards. So in all, we get 52 sample points. That's why N of S is equal to 52. So these are the some random experiments for which we have studied the sample space and the sample points. Now we are going to solve some examples based on this concept. That is, we are going to solve some examples from exercise 5.1 from our textbook. Hello students, let us solve some examples from practice set 5.1 from a topic probability, standard 10th maths part 1. The first question is, how many possibilities are there in each of the following? The first of that is, Vanita knows the following sites in Maharashtra. She is planning to visit one of them in summer vacation. So the sites are Ajinta, Mahabaleshwar, Lonar Sarovar, Tadoba Wildlife Sanctuary, Amboli, Raigad, Matheran, and Anandwan. Now Vanita knows these sites in Maharashtra and she is planning to visit one of them in summer vacation. Now she has all of these 8 options to visit, but she has to choose only one of them. So all of these to be chosen have equal probability or equal possibility. And as there are 8 places which Vanita can visit, so she has 8 possibilities. Now the second question is any day of a week is to be selected randomly. As we know, there are 7 days in a week, and we have to choose a day, only one day at a time. That's why, as there are 7 days in a week, there are 7 possibilities of selecting any one day. The next is select one card from the pack of 52 cards. So there are 52 cards in a pack, and from that we have to select only one card. So as there are 52 cards, so there are 52 possibilities of selecting one card from the pack because there is equal possibility for a card to be chosen. The next is one number from 10 to 20 is written on a card. Select one card randomly. Now there are 11 numbers from 10 to 20. So there are 11 cards and we have to select only one card at a time. So there are 11 possibilities of selecting one card randomly. So these are the some examples by which we have studied how there is a possibility of being selected randomly if there are so many possibilities and if we have to choose only one possibility from that. So this is also treated as the introductory part for the topic probability.